You tell me, is it visible? Is it visible? I shared my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we will going to learn cardiovascular system. It is a very important system. How we will see here, cardiovascular system. It contains what? It is comprises of heart, blood vessels, isn't it? Heart and blood vessels. Now see here. It's a God good creation, isn't it? Without circulation, without blood circulation, we can't anything we work our body, isn't it? So human cardiovascular system, it is composed of what? Heart, blood vessels, isn't it? Now, what are the components? We understood this one. Now, why it is a good creation of the God? 1 minute. Hello, ma'am. आत्ता विचारला आवाज येतोय म्हणून होते हो का बर Am I audible all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
येतोय ऐकू सगळ्यांना तुम्ही बघा काय होतंय तुमच्या इथे Am I audible all of you? Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now see here. So why the blood circulation? For what purpose? What is the reason behind that one? See here, the miracle, the good God's creation, isn't it? So with the help of this blood supply, that is the blood circulation, we supply each and every organ, each and every tissue, each and every cell. We are supplying the oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and we are removing, the blood remove the waste material, that is the also the carbon dioxide. Remove the carbon dioxide and the other waste material, metabolic waste, that is the metabolic waste. These are the roadways, isn't it? These are the roadways connecting to each and every cell. Okay. So today we will going to study the introduction, anatomy of the heart and blood vessels, interior structure of the heart, elements of the conducting system, that is the cardiac cycle, circulation of the blood, pulse and heartbeats, regulation of the blood pressure, ECG, electrocardiograph, and lastly we will see the disorders of the heart and the related system. Now one by one we will see this one. Okay. My screen is visible, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now see it is. Now we will see one by one, that is the cardiovascular system introduction. Introduction, understood this one? Now see here, one proverb is there. One proverb is there. One can live without food months together. So because why I am saying this one proverb, because you can understand the significance of the cardiovascular system, why it is necessary. So one can live without food months together, isn't it? And one can live without water days together. But one cannot live without oxygen minute also, isn't it? So why it is necessary blood circulation? Because it supplies pure oxygen to each and every cells and removes the carbon dioxide and the other waste. So there is a continuous flow of the blood throughout the human body. This process is continuous, life end, till the life end. Okay. The process is known as blood circulation. It is carried out and maintained by which organ? A hollow muscular organ that is called as a heart, with the help of various vessels. These vessels we called as a blood vessels that are of two types, that is artery and veins. Artery and veins. Arteries which carries oxygenated blood and veins carries deoxygenated blood. Arteries which supply the blood from heart to all other parts of the body, and veins which collects the blood from different parts of the body, that is the deoxygenated blood, and empty their contents into the heart. Okay, now see one by one we will see. Now, first we will going to see the anatomy of the heart. Now you tell me, our subject, it is anatomy and physiology. Anatomy means what? We will going to study here the structure. And physiology means what? We will going to study the functions of the organs. Okay. So anatomy of the heart, here we will going to study the anatomy, that is the size, shape, color, where it is present, the location, that is the address. Okay. So anatomy of the heart. See how it is looking. How it is looking. The heart is a hollow muscular organ. Its size, you see, 12 centimeter long, 9 centimeter wide, and 6 centimeter thickness. And the average weight is 250 grams, 250 to 300 grams. Where it is located? It rests on the diaphragm and near to the midline of the thoracic cavity. Means what? It lies in the center of the thorax between the two lungs, but slightly left towards the midline. How it is the shape? It is a cone shaped. Presents the base above, and the apex, that is the below. The apex, that is the below, and the base above. Okay. It is of our, how it is a size? It is of our own fist size. Fist size means what? Closed fist size means what? आपण मूठ आवळली, कसं दिसतो आपला हात? Same is it looking? Are you getting?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Same it is looking. So it is how our own fist size. Okay. Is that understand? All of you, anatomy, it is very clear. It is very simple. Hollow organ, muscular organ. Okay. It is of our own fist size. Base above and apex below. Okay. Next you see here the structure of the pericardium and the heart wall. Okay. Everything, each and every slides contents, are you visible? Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The pericardium. Now see here the walls of the heart here. Okay. That is elaborated here. Okay. Now see here. First one, that is the outermost, that is the pericardium. Okay, pericardium, again it is two, fibrous pericardium and serous pericardium. Outermost, that is the pericardium, it is of two, that is the fibrous pericardium and the serous pericardium. That serous is also again the two layers, and in between there is a pericardial cavity, and this layer, it secretes the serous fluid to maintain the movement of the heart. Okay, to maintain the movement of the heart. And the next layer, that is the myocardium. Actually, activity takes place here only. And the innermost, that is the endocardium. This innermost endocardium, it covers all the auricles, ventricles, valves, it lines. Okay, so the heart wall structures, it is the pericardium, it is of two, made up of two tissues, two layers, that is the fibrous pericardium, and second one, it is the parietal layer of the serous pericardium. Again it is a two, that is the, in that one it is contains the, it secretes the serous fluid in the pericardial cavity, in the pericardial cavity. Okay, in between that the serous fluid is there. And the innermost, that is the myocardium, middle layer, that is the myocardium, and the innermost, that is the endocardium. Now we will going to see this one, pericardium, in detail. The membrane that surrounds the and protects the heart, the outermost layer, isn't it, that surrounds and protects. Why it is? Because it absorbs the shocks. Why it is that layer? It avoids the distension of the heart, that is the enlargement of the heart, that is the bulging of the heart. So that's why the pericardium layer is present. Okay, it is made up of two sacs or two layers. The outermost sac consists of the fibrous tissue. Just now I shown you, okay, in the diagram. And the inner of the double layer of the serous membrane. Okay. First one, the fibrous. Second one, that is the serous. Okay. Are you getting? Now see here, the fibrous nature of the outer sac prevents the distension of the heart. Distension of the heart, that is the enlargement of the heart. That is the bulging of the heart. Okay. The cells of the serous membrane secretes the serous fluid into the sac between the two layers. Between the two layers. See here. Between the two layers. Okay. In that the serous fluid is secreted. In that the serous fluid is secreted. The fluid allows, why it is? The movement between the layers during the heartbeats. When the heart beats, it allows the smooth movement. It allows the smooth movement. Now see here, the heart wall, it is composed of epicardium, myocardium, endocardium. The external layer, the outermost layer, thin and transparent layer of the heart wall, called as a visceral layer, called as a visceral layer. Okay, see here the layer. Epicardium. Are you getting this one? Epicardium, visceral layer of the serous pericardium. Serous pericardium. Two serous pericardiums are there. Innermost, that is the epicardium. In that, it is the lines to the serous pericardium. Okay. It is the external layer, that is the outermost thin transparent layer of the heart wall. It is also called as a visceral layer of the serous pericardium. And second most, that is the middle layer, that is the main, that is myocardium. It is the muscular coat through the action of which the blood is circulated. This is also we called as a what? Here the main activity takes place. It is the special tissue. It is the cardiac muscle. That is the myogenic. Myogenic. It is the muscular coat, having the muscular coat. Thick muscular coat is there. So it is the middle layer. The action takes place here only. It is made up of the specialized tissue known as cardiac muscle. This layer, that is the myocardium, it is the thickest at the apex and thins gradually towards the base. Because why it is the thickest in the apex? Because in the apex the ventricles are present. Ventricles are present, and against that one they have to circulate the blood to the right, to the where? In the pulmonary artery, and the left, from left ventricle to the aorta, and from aorta to the all over the body. So it is the contraction is most powerful, most forceful. That's why to get that pressure, for that sustain that pressure, they have made up of thickest layer, that is the vascular coat. Now see here the endocardium, the innermost layer. It lines to the myocardium, inner layer. That is the endocardium. It is lining to the myocardium, inner side. It is a smooth membrane consisting of the flattened epithelial cell. It continues within the lining of the blood vessels, also the walls, also the auricles, ventricles, all they are lining the inner side of the myocardium. That is the auricles, ventricles, walls, blood vessels, isn't it? So the three layers are that. This one epicardium, myocardium, endocardium, and the uppermost, that is the pericardium. Are you getting this one? Not confusion is there? So pericardium, it is the outermost. Why it is a layer, the uppermost? This is due to what? It prevents the distension of the heart. That is the enlargement or bulging of the heart. And the serous membrane, again, it is of two layers. Inside that one, the cavity is there. In that cavity, the serous fluid is secreted by these cells to prevent or to allows the smooth movement during the contraction of the heart or during the cardiac cycle or beating of the heart. Okay, are you getting this one, all of you? Now this is the diagram.
Yes.
Now the most important, according to your exam and everything, that is the internal structure of the heart. Now how it is, we will see the diagram properly. This is the internal structure of the heart. Heart is divided into two, that is the right and the left, right and left, through the septum, through the vertical septum, through the vertical septum. And each right side and each left side, it is again divided into two, that is the uppermost auricles and the lower side, that is the ventricle. Okay, that upper side we called as a auricle or atrium, and the lower side we called as a ventricle. Okay, but these are divided by which? By the wall. By the wall, the auricles and ventricles are divided. How it is divided? with the help of this wall, due to the wall. The right side, it consists of tricuspid wall, and the left side, it is having the mitral wall, or it is also called as a bicuspid wall. It is also called as a bicuspid wall. So the heart is consist of now 4 chambers. That is the 2 auricles uppermost and the lower side 2 ventricles. So 4 chambers are there. Now see here. From the right side having which wall? Tricuspid wall. And the left side consists of what? Bicuspid wall, mitral wall. Now see here, from the right ventricle, the pulmonary aorta or pulmonary article, it carries which type of the blood? Which type of the blood? First, I will explain you here. See here, right atrium. This right atrium, it receives deoxygenated blood from inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. Okay. Superior and inferior vena cava supplies or empties their deoxygenated blood. From where they carry? From all over the body, and drops into the right atrium. Okay, and drops into the right atrium. And see here, from the right ventricle, there is a pulmonary trunk. There is a pulmonary trunk. We can call it as a pulmonary artery. And again, it is divided into 2. That is for supplying the right lung and the left lung. Okay, it carries which type of the blood? Deoxygenated blood. Okay, and from the left ventricle, the aorta, systemic aorta, it arises, and it carries the oxygenated blood. From this aorta, it supplies the oxygenated blood to all over the body, to all over the tissue, to all over the cells and cells. So are you understood this one internal structure? Again, we will go very deeply. Okay, in this pulmonary artery or pulmonary trunk, which type of the wall is there? Pulmonary wall. These walls we called as a semilunar wall. Semilunar wall. If it is present in the pulmonary artery, we call it as a pulmonary wall. When it is present in the aorta, we call it as a aortic wall. Why the walls are present? What is the main significance of the wall? What is the significance of the wall? It prevents the what? Very nice. Backflow of the blood. Backflow of the blood. This tricuspid wall, where it is present? In the right side, right auricle and left ventricle, it is separated by which type of the wall? Tricuspid wall. Why it is called as a tricuspid wall? Because it consists of 3 flaps. 3 flaps. So it is called as a tricuspid wall. And the left side, the left auricle and the left ventricle, it is separated by which type of the wall? Mitral wall, or it is also called as a bicuspid wall. Why it is called as a bicuspid wall? Because it consists of a 2 flaps. 2 flaps. It prevents the backflow of the blood. And again, the chordae tendineae is also present in that wall. Inferior side, that is the lower side of the wall, there are present the chordae tendineae, which are lines to the inner side of the ventricle, that is the papillary muscles, which are arising from the ventricles. Okay. So that's why it will not move backward when the ventricles contract. Okay, we will see again in detail, but in general, are you understood this one internal structure of the heart? Please mute yourself, all of you. See here, the four chambers are there. Upper side two, that is the right and left, that is the auricles, and right and left ventricles, lower side. This right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. And again, one more, it is there, that is the coronary sinus. I will explain that one. What is that coronary sinus? Okay. So in this right atrium, there is a SA node. Okay. While explaining what cardiac cycle, I will explain in detail. But right atrium, it receives the deoxygenated blood from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Okay. And the left atrium, it receives the oxygenated blood from the pulmonary vein. See, this is the exceptional case. The artery, pulmonary artery receives deoxygenated blood, though it is artery. In generally, what we call artery means what? It carries the oxygenated blood. And vein means what? It carries the deoxygenated blood. But exceptional is there. Please mute yourself, all of you. And here it is exceptional. The pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood and the pulmonary vein receives the what? Oxygenated blood. This pulmonary artery divides into two. Where it goes? It goes to the lung, and where the deoxygenated blood will get oxygenated and it will come through the pulmonary vein. Means pulmonary vein carries which type of the blood? Oxygenated blood, and it receives by the left atrium. And then left atrium again, this drops their contents into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, it will go to the aorta, oxygenated blood, and from aorta it will goes all over the body. Okay, now see here one by one internal structure. The meeting will close within 10 minutes. Okay, again we will continue this meeting after 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so see here the internal structure of the heart. The interior of the heart is divided into right and left side. Each side is further divided into upper chamber and the lower chamber with the help of the walls. The upper chambers are called as auricles or atria, and the lower chambers are called as ventricles. The walls between the atria and the ventricles ensures what? The flow of the blood in one direction only. Okay, means only what? It prevents the backflow of the blood. Okay, the wall separating the right auricle and the right ventricle, it is called as a tricuspid wall. Means the right side, which wall is present? Tricuspid wall. And the left side, which wall is present? Bicuspid wall. That is the mitral wall. Now see here, the tendinous cords are present, that is called as chordae tendineae, which extends from the inferior surface of the wall, that is the lower surface of the wall, to the walls of the ventricles. The ventricular walls have little muscle projection that we called as a papillary muscles. Before only I told you. Papillary muscles. Why it is present? To which the chordae tendineae are attached. Means in this ventricular papillary muscles, the chordae tendineae are attached. For what purpose this chordae tendineae? Because why it is? Because due to this chordae tendineae and papillary muscle, it prevents the backflow of the these walls when the ventricles are get contracted. When the ventricles are contracted, so that's why these walls are, these coordinate tendineae are present. Okay, the two largest veins of the body, that is the superior and inferior vena cava. These are the veins. It carries what? Deoxygenated blood and empty their contents into where? The right atrium. Okay, and the right ventricle arises what? Pulmonary artery or pulmonary aorta that carries the deoxygenated blood and get oxygenated by the lungs. Okay, that contents are emptied into the lungs. From the left ventricle arises the aorta. Where we are seeing his one, everything explained. From the left ventricle, the aorta arises, and this carries what? Oxygenated blood to the all over the body with the help of the aorta. With the help of the aorta, the opening of the aorta is guarded by the aortic wall. It is guarded by the aortic wall, and this pulmonary artery, it is guarded by the pulmonary wall, so that it prevents the backflow of the blood. It prevents the backflow of the blood. What happens? The opening of the aorta, it is guarded by the walls. Okay, these walls present, it prevents the retaining of the blood from the aorta into the left ventricle, and pulmonary wall prevents the return of the blood from pulmonary artery to the right ventricle. See here, this wall, it prevents the backflow of the blood to the right ventricle, and this aortic wall prevents the backflow of the blood from the aorta to the left ventricle. Is that clear to you, all this internal structure? Now we will see one by one, that is the arteria and this ventricle again, but I think the meeting will close, but we will carry again. Auricles. How many auricles are present? Uppermost 2 auricles are present, and each are separated by which? Separated by interarterial septum. Interarterial septum. The right atria receives what? Which type of the blood? Deoxygenated blood. And with the help of what? Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and coronary sinus. Coronary sinus, that is from heart to the coronary sinus. Okay, means what? The heart consists of the blood vessels. Okay, all these blood vessels, it join to form the coronary sinus, and these of deoxygenated blood are again, it is emptied into the, it opens into the right atrium. Okay, and it will opens into the right atrium, and at a time the deoxygenated blood from the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and also the coronary sinus opens into the right atrium. Okay, the opening of the inferior vena cava is guarded by Eustachian wall, and the opening of the coronary sinus, it is guarded by Thebesian wall. Means everywhere the walls are present to prevent the backflow of the blood. And the left atrium, it receives the oxygenated blood through the pulmonary veins. 2 pairs of the pulmonary veins, that is the 4 openings are there. Okay, each auricle opens into the ventricle, that is the, with the help of what? Having, it is guarded by the AV walls, atrioventricular walls. Okay, the atrioventricular walls, right side which wall is present? Right side tricuspid valve is there. Left side which wall is present? Which wall is present? Mitral wall or bicuspid wall. Okay, this is all about the ventricles. These walls are attached. Now see here the main important. The right atrio wall has 3 flaps. Due to this, it is called as a tricuspid, and bicuspid for what? It consists of 2 flaps. These walls are attached to the papillary muscles of the ventricles with the help of the chordae tendineae. Chordae tendineae, where it is present? It is present inferior side of the wall, lower side of the wall, And this ventricle, it projected the flap-like structure, muscular structure, that is the papillary, it consists of the papillary muscles of the ventricles. Okay, these papillary muscles are connected to the chordae tendineae, and because of this chordae tendineae, it prevents the walls from turning back into the atria during the contraction of the ventricles. See here, during the contraction of the ventricles, these walls are attached to the papillary muscles with the help of chordae tendineae. Okay, so while contraction of the ventricles, it will not go back to the atria, auricle. So that's why the chordae tendineae are the importance of this chordae tendineae. Okay, understood this one? Now see here the ventricles. Two ventricles are there, separated to each other from the interventricular septum. The left ventricle having most thickest wall, okay, to all among that one. Okay, the pulmonary trunk or the pulmonary aorta arises from the right ventricle. This pulmonary trunk or pulmonary aorta, we can call it as a pulmonary artery. It arises from the right ventricle, and this systemic aorta or the aorta, it arises from the left ventricle. Okay, the right ventricle consists of this pulmonary artery consists of which type of the wall? Pulmonary wall. And this aorta consists of which type of the wall? Aortic wall. These are the semilunar wall. Okay, the pulmonary aorta and the systemic aorta have three semilunar wall at the base. It prevents the backward flow of the blood during the ventricular diastole. Okay, so these are again, this is a repeated and repeated. Okay, so just now I explained you the walls. Okay, the next session we will see within 10 minutes we will start the next session. In that we will see the blood vessels, that is the structure of the blood vessels, artery, vein and everything, and the conduction.